Now I write the property, the square root of 25 times the square root of 2. And I know that 25, the square root of 25 is 5. So then, this is the simplified form of the square root of 50. Okay, here's a question. The square root of x squared, you will say, copy the base and divide 2 by 2 and get 1. Would you agree with this step? Let me write the formula again here. The nth root of x to the mth power is x power m divided by the index. So we need to remember to go back and forth and understand this formula. So what will you say about this? Is this correct? 2 over 2, 2 over 2. Good?
Yes.
Perfect. However, this is true if x is greater than or equal to 0. However, if x is anywhere between negative infinity and infinity, the square root of x squared has to be the absolute value of x. Coming back to what I wrote a few minutes ago, not friendly. The answer has to be guaranteed to be plus or 0. If I'm told x is greater than or equal to 0, I don't have to write anything else. But if I'm told x can be anything, oh, in that case, I have to make sure that this is always greater than or equal to 0. And absolute value guarantees that. Because I know that this piece is always positive or 0. I have to guarantee that this piece is always positive or 0. Again, let me say why. Let's say I have x squared equals x. And I say to you that x is negative 3. This piece, negative 3 squared is 9. The left-hand side is 3, but the right-hand side is negative 3, which does not work. That's the reason why I need the absolute value. So let's practice this a little bit. As I mentioned, friendly, no problem, no absolute value. But here, let's have all this information. The square root of x squared is the absolute value of x if x is in negative infinity to infinity. If x is any real number, we have to guarantee that the right-hand side is always positive. Okay, so let's practice, and you'll understand in a moment. Let's start with the cube root. The cube root of x to the third. What do you think this is? The cube root of x to the third. How do I simplify the cube root of x to the third? Please try.
X to the first?
Yes. Do I need absolute value?
No.
No. Very good, because it's a cube root. Excellent. Here's the next one. The square root of x to the fourth. How do I simplify this? For all these examples that we are working on right now, x can be anything. What do you think about this?
X to the second power?
Yes. Does it need an absolute value?
Yes, because it's not the third power. Or well, it's positive. I don't know.
Exactly. No need of absolute value because this is guaranteed to be positive forever. Excellent. Good. What about the square root of x to the sixth?
X to the third.
With or without absolute value?
I don't know.
Put in a negative number in here, cubic, and if you get a negative number, then it needs the absolute value. If you never get a negative number, then it doesn't.
Well, if x is a negative number, then yes, it means absolute value.
Absolutely. Because power 3 could be negative. Power 2 could never be negative. Very good. What about the square root of 15m squared? Roots are not, they're boring, they're not exciting, but they're very important. I meant to put the square outside, not the inside. Sorry. So if you want, you can do this. Apply the power 2 on 15 is 225. Power 2 on this. Then you can rewrite it as the square root of 225 times the square root of m squared. You take the square root from this, you already know it's 15. But the question is, m can be any real number. How do I continue?
To the first.
The absolute value of m. Because the answer could be negative. Is this okay? Yes, no, maybe. X can be any real number. We have x plus 6 to the second power. What can we get? Of course, it's x plus 2 to 2 over 2. But does it need absolute value or not?
No.
It does, because if x is negative 10, I'm stuck with a negative number. So if the answer could be negative, then it definitely needs an absolute value. If the answer can never be negative, then it doesn't need the absolute value. Now, if you tell me that x is greater than or equal to 0, if, and I'm asked, okay, x plus 6 squared, then I will write x plus 6. Because I am already told x is positive or 0. I mean, a positive number, so 0 plus 6, 1 plus 6, 2 plus 6 will always be positive. But if I'm told that x plus 6 or x can be, here's what happens. Negative 10 plus 6 will create a negative number. Is this clear? Yes, no?
Yes, but I have a feeling Thursday you're going to have a lot of questions.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have it in any other way. But I highly recommend we do the problems we did in class first. Okay, moving on. What about simplifying the following? 8 the square root of 25 over 64 minus 100 with the square root on top of it. Okay, so I copy 8. I copy the square root of 25 over the square root of 64. I know that the square root of 100 is 10. Good. Then I continue. I copy 8. I take the square root of 25, which is 5. I take the square root of 64, which is 8. I simplify 8 with 8. And I get 5 minus 10, which is negative 5. Is this okay? Any questions on this problem?
So to get
Yes?
8, 5, and 8, so you just did 8. So you basically divided 8 to 25 and 8 to 64.
So I copied 8. I split the 2 into the square root of 25 over the square root of 64, and then minus 10. Then I took the square root of 25 and I got 5. I took the square root of 64 and I got 8. And then minus 10. I simplify, because this is multiplication. So 8 divided by 8 and 8 divided by 8. So I ended up with 5 minus 10. Was that the question?
Well, not kind of. My thing is like, how'd you get from 8 to square root of 25? It's kind of like you multiply, like, or not really multiply, like divided 25 to 8 to get 5? If that's the case, then how'd you do that?
I have an 8 in front that is multiplied. If there is no operation between 8 and the square root, is multiplication.
If she took the square root of 25 each individually, so if you go into your calculator, the square root of 25 is 5. And that's what she did. She just broke it down into 2 different square roots.
So there is a product here. So 8 multiplied by 5 over 8 is 8 over 1 times 5 over 8. And as we did always, we simplify first. If we can simplify, we always simplify before you multiply. Or you multiply 8 by 5, 40 divided by 8, and you still get 5. But we prefer to simplify, and we just get 5. So this product gives us 5. 5 minus 10 is negative 5. Was that the question?
Yes, yeah, that was the question.
Is it better now?
It's better. Thank you.
Perfect. So let's take a look at the square root of negative 9 squared minus 6 times 5 times 9. We're asked to simplify this. Where is my starting point?
Exponent or parentheses?
Yes, very good. So we have 81 minus. Here you can do whatever you want. What I like to do is 5 times 6, which is 30. 30 times 9. 270. I realize, and I don't have to calculate, that this is a square root of a negative number. What will I write? Well, I have to write not real. This is not a real number. And you don't have to do anything else. Any
So on the
questions?
answer bar, we actually just write not real?
Exactly. It's
Okay.
not a real number. Okay. The next one. The square root of 7 minus 3, everything squared, plus 4 minus 1, everything squared. What is the first step?
Factoring the exponents?
You mean 7 minus 3, which is
Oh, 4.
4 squared?
16.
Very good. Plus 4 minus 1?
9 or 3.
Yes, 3 squared, which is 9. Remember, we cannot split the radical. It's a sum of terms, but I can perform 16 plus 9, and this is the square root of 25, which is 5. Any questions? Any questions, please? -1 plus the square root of -1 squared minus 8 times 3 times -2 and everything divided by 2 times -1. And after this one, I stop, I promise. Do I still have time? Do I still have time?
Yeah, we can finish this problem.
Okay, I already took 1 more minute of your time. So let's finish this one. Sorry about that. So the opposite of -1, this is 1, plus -1 squared, this is 1. But here I have a product with negatives. So 3 times -2. So I know that this sum will be, this will be positive. -2 times 3 is -6. 6 times -8 is 48. Everything divided by -2. Finally, 1 plus the square root of 49 over 2. 1, the square root of 49 is 7. 8 divided by 2 equals 4.